Today's topic for our webinar is what do we do in 4-day KMP workshop. Now, what is KMP? KMP is a Kanban Management Professional Workshop from Kanban University. So in this webinar, I'm going to tell you what do we do in these 4 days. What is that path to agility that we cover? How participants get enlightened on what is agile and how Kanban practices can help them achieve business agility in their teams and organizations. So of course we'll have coffee during the workshop, we'll have sandwiches, we do lunch, and we have lots of coffee and lunch breaks. But apart from that, after the workshop, you also get a Kanban Management Professional badge from the Kanban University. So this KMP badge is lifetime free and is only required to be gained once after attending this 4-day Kanban workshop. But before I go in more details into the KMP workshop, let me introduce myself. So who am I? I'm a developer, I'm a project manager, product manager, delivery manager, scrum master, agile coach. I'm also an accredited Kanban trainer from Kanban University. I'm an IC Agile authorized trainer from IC Agile, and I have 25 years of experience in this IT industry. And I have been doing transformations and achieving business agility since the last 10 years. By now, I have trained around 350 plus participants, and they are all successful in achieving this Kanban Management Professional Certificate from Kanban University. Most of them are applying Kanban, and we are in touch, in discussing the challenges that they have in their Kanban implementations. So what do we do in 4-day KMP workshop? But before we go there, let's also understand what is Kanban. So Kanban is not an agile framework. It is not an agile methodology. It is an alternative approach to agility. It's a practical approach. It will help organizations to achieve business agility without getting resistance to change. When you implement Kanban, you don't need to replace your existing framework. For example, if you're following waterfall, you can keep on following waterfall. If you're following Scrum, keep on following Scrum. Safe, keep on following Safe. You have to just apply Kanban practices on your framework to improve your process. Any existing process or any framework can be improved by applying these Kanban practices. Kanban helps you to shape the demand. So we have an imbalance in the customer demand and the capability to deliver. Kanban will help you to shape the demand so that you can do only the work which is of value to the customer, which your customer will like. What is priority? How should you prioritize? So Kanban will help you to shape the demand. Also, while you are shaping the demand, it will also help you to improve your capability to deliver. What are the bottlenecks? How can you manage your dependencies better? How can you meet the third-party dependencies? How can you make your delivery faster? How can you avoid bottlenecks in your system? What are the blockers? What are the root causes? How should you set the right expectations with your customers? Kanban will help you achieve all of that and maximize your agility. Now, agility is not delivering the work faster or in loops. Agility is delivering the right work at the right time. It will help you set realistic expectations with your customers. It will improve productivity of the team. Your team will be proud of what they do. It will create a sustainable model for them. And it encourages participation throughout your workforce to lead change. So it's not only the manager's job to lead the change. Kanban will make every information so visible, so transparent, that each and every team member can find out what to change, how to change, and when to change. So it will encourage participation from all the team members, not only the leaders. So that's what is Kanban. Now what is KMP? KMP is a Kanban Management Professional Credential and is granted upon completion of 2 courses. The first course is Kanban System Design and the second is Kanban Systems Improvement. Now these 2 courses are delivered by way of a workshop. Each of these module is 2 days long. So a KMP, to become a KMP, you have to do a 2-day workshop for Kanban System Design and then 2 days workshop for Kanban Systems Improvement. Now what are these? So what is Kanban System Design? What do you get from this? In Kanban System Design, you will take these takeaways. You will understand the basics of Kanban. What is the motivation behind it? So motivation behind implementing Kanban is not because you want to be agile. Motivation behind Kanban would be survivability, sustainability, and your service orientation approach towards your customers. How can you make your systems more predictable? How can you answer the question, when will it be done? We also discuss around the benefits of the Kanban method over other approaches. We experience a flow. So Kanban is a flow-based system. We experience a flow. In this workshop, we play a simulation game where we practice how the flow of the work works by using the Kanban practices. In this workshop, we also discuss around how to create a Kanban design or Kanban board. So you might have created the Kanban board using tools like Jira, Azure DevOps, Trello, or maybe others. Now what is the right way of designing a Kanban system? There is an approach called as a static approach, which is systems thinking approach to introducing Kanban. We discuss this approach. We discuss the steps using this approach, how you can design a Kanban system, how you can design a Kanban board using this systems thinking approach. Means your system or the team in which you are working is not a siloed team. It is connected to multiple other teams in terms of the dependencies, in terms of the requirements. You have to take care of each and every aspect. You have to think your team as a spoke in a wheel. How it works around the surrounding systems. What are the things that you should consider before you design the board? So we discuss all of this in this static approach. You become faster and more responsive. When you visualize the right information in your board, you do a better risk management. We also understand the pull system in the Kanban system design, and we suggest methods on how to reduce the overburdening on the people, on your team, so that they are more productive, more creative. In this workshop, we also discuss the key metrics that you can use in your systems. We call them the Kanban key metrics, such as lead time, cycle time. How will you measure that? From where to where? What is the customer lead time? What is system lead time? How do you create the run charts? What is CFD, cumulative flow diagram? How do you read it? How do you create it? What are the various patterns in CFD? If you are working in Scrum, how the CFD will look like? If you are working in SAFe, how the CFD will look like? If you are working in a iterative approach and you have spillovers after spillovers, how the CFD will look like? How would you interpret a cumulative flow diagram? How would you interpret a lead time chart? What are the points, trigger points that you should look at? How will you make your system optimized by looking at those charts? What are the actionable metrics out of it? So we discuss all of this in a Kanban system design. So after this 2-day workshop, you will be equipped with all the knowledge that you will need to design a Kanban system that will work. Not just like a board, but a Kanban system that will work, that will have a pull mechanism, that will give you chances to improve, and also you will be able to produce some of the actionable agile matrix that will improve your predictability of your deliveries. So that is what we cover in a Kanban system design. Now these are the practices and the principles that we go through. On the left hand side, you will see these are the principles, which is change management principles. We talk about them. Like start with what you do now, gain agreement, and encourage acts of leadership. On the right hand side is your service delivery principles. We discuss these principles in detail. And then we take all these general practices, 6 of them, which are at the bottom, like visualize, make policies explicit, limit work in progress, managing the flow, feedback loops, and improve collaboratively, evolve experimentally. So we discuss all of this with examples of the boards, with examples, with case studies, and we also run a few meetings to tell you like how the feedback loops work. So this all we'll cover in the Kanban system design. This is a 2-day workshop. Following this is a Kanban systems improvement. Now this is again a 2-day workshop. How it differs? It builds upon the Kanban system design concepts. So now you have designed a Kanban system. That is not all. Kanban means a continuous improvement. Kanban leads to Kaizen. So you have to continuously improve the system that you have, and you will get enough opportunities to look at where you want to improve your systems. Where do you want to improve your Kanban? How can you improve the productivity of the teams? How can you optimize the flow of the work? How can you make your deliveries more agile? Where are the expectations lacking? How can we be more predictable? So all of this is discussed in the Kanban systems improvement. And this workshop mainly focuses upon the last practice, which is improve collaboratively, evolve experimentally. So in this workshop, we understand the basics, motivation, and benefits of the evolutionary change. So we discuss why Kanban is an evolutionary change method, how it differs from the traditional change methodologies, what are the benefits of using it, how can you avoid the J curve that you usually find in a traditional change method. We also discuss around the system 1 and system 2 perspective, like how humans think. System 1 is like emotional. So whenever you change, any human being thinks from the system 1 perspective, and that brings in resistance. Then there is system 2 perspective, which is like logical thinking. So we discuss these two methods, system 1, system 2. We discuss the philosophy of Taoism, like flow like water. We do exercises on top of it to understand how to avoid the resistances that you get when you try to change your system, and how you can apply your Kanban practices and avoid this resistance. The second topic we discuss is around scaling Kanban. How can you scale Kanban? What is the scaling framework of Kanban? What is upstream Kanban? What is downstream Kanban? And how are these two systems connected? How can you scale Kanban across the width, across the depth and the height? What is portfolio Kanban? How can you do the backlog grooming or the product refinement using upstream Kanban? How can you set up the Kanban cadences and scale your system? What are the meetings that you need to set up if you have multiple teams or multiple workflows within your teams? If you have a complex workflow of delivering your product or your applications, what are the different meetings that you should set up between the teams, across the departments, within the organization? And how can you make your Kanban implementation successful and scaled across the organization. We discuss around the maturity levels of Kanban. How can you assess at what maturity level your team is right now? It is not a questionnaire. Kanban has a very practical approach to understand what is the maturity of your team. It has a practice Kanban maturity practice map that I will share during this particular class in the Kanban systems improvement that help you determine at what maturity level you are. We discuss the 5 maturity levels in this class from ML0 to ML3, ML4. Most of the IT organizations enter at ML2, which is your customer focused. So we discuss all these 5 maturity levels by way of exercises. I'll show you different boards, how the boards look like at all these maturity levels, and we discuss how you can scale Kanban to mature your teams from ML1 to ML2 to ML3 and so on. So that is the first part that we cover in the Kanban systems improvement. The other things that we cover is we understand the sources of delay. Now all these things like sources of delay, variability, what you can do effectively to manage them, all these are part of optimizing your workflow, optimizing your capability. So you shape the demand in Kanban systems design. Now you have to deliver and you have to keep on improving. And where do you lack? There could be delays. What are the sources of delays? Is it the dependencies? Is it the blockers? Is it the specialist resources? How can you make them visible? How can you make them, isolate them? How can you measure them so that you can set the right expectations? We discuss around variability. What is variability? What are the variations in the system? How can you change your process to handle those variations? Now, variations could be because of the rework, requirement changes, people taking leaves, any technical solution becoming complex, third-party vendors not delivering the work on time. There could be multiple variations in the system. We discuss what are the common cause versus the special cause variations. How can you handle the common cause variations? How will you handle the special cause variations? How will you handle the bottlenecks in the system? So we discuss the theory of constraints given by Elihu M. Goldratt, where we discuss the 5 focusing steps of this TOC by way of example. That this particular example helps you to understand what are the bottlenecks in the system, how can you identify those bottlenecks, and how can you exploit and resolve those bottlenecks. And this is a continuous process. Then we also look at the key matrix again. So in the KSD class, we looked at the lead time chart. Here we look at the anatomy of lead time distribution curve. We draw a lead time distribution curve on a Weibull distribution of 0,2 and we try to find out what is the tail of your system. Is it a long tail? Is it a short tail? How can you trim the tail? So when you look at the lead time distribution chart, it will have a peak and will go down and further carry on. You have to make sure you have an average shifted to the left. We discuss how you can shift your average to the left so that your deliveries are more predictable. We look at the other charts also like run charts, cumulative flow diagram, and how you can look at those so that you achieve continuous improvement. How can you bring an evolutionary change in your teams? So this is a glimpse of the Kanban maturity model that we discuss. We discuss all these, not all these levels, we discuss up to the ML4, which is we discuss what is oblivious, team focused, customer driven, fit for purpose and risk hedged. Now there are certain practices of Kanban like visualize, limit WIP, manage the flow, make policy explicit, feedback loops, and improve collaboratively. evolve experimentally. You will see the examples of the Kanban boards also. All these text is what all you should visualize. How can you manage the flow? Once you have identified these, you will be able to understand at what maturity level you are, your team is, your organization is, and how you can maintain those. So it is just not kind of a periodic questionnaire that you can say yes and you score 5. It is a completely transparent, visible information. If you follow these, you will remain at that maturity level. If you don't, then you will drop down, and then it's no harm. You can start following them again, and then again you will be at that maturity. It's a continuous improvement process. These are the feedback loop model that we discussed. What are the various meetings that you want to set? At what maturity level? Now, not every meeting should be set at all maturity levels. And do not add the meetings immediately, because Kanban is an evolutionary change method. First of all, understand how you are working right now, because you have been working for so long. You might be doing all the things correctly. So find out how you are working right now and then try to improve them slowly and slowly. And not every meeting has to be done at every level. So this is the chart that we discussed at what maturity level of your team, what are the meetings and what are the reviews or the reflections that you should set up so that you can continuously improve in your delivery and expectation setting for your customers. Now that is the topics that we cover. So this workshop is a collaborative workshop, a hands-on workshop. And that's why you don't have an exam after this. Because we certify, we make sure that the concepts that we are looking at, that we are discussing, you get a hold of, good grip on it. And how do we ensure? We conduct multiple classroom exercises. So it's like every day you might have 6 to 7 classroom exercises that you have to solve as a group. So it involves collaboration, continuous attention to the concepts, and also after the classroom exercises we discuss like what is your understanding of that concept. Is it correct or is there some improvement needed? So it's not like you did the exercise and it's thrown out. We'll have to discuss it within the group, within the class, and see how this exercise was done and what are the additional things that can be brought in, what are the things that might not matter, what are the things that you might need to unlearn. So we discuss all of those. Now I'll tell you what are the classroom exercises that we conduct. So as I discussed earlier, we play a Kanban simulation game. It's called as Get Kanban, where we experience the power of flow. We understand what are the Kanban practices, how do you implement the work in progress limits, what if you remove the WIP limits, what if you have infinite WIP limits, how will the system behave, will you do better delivery, or is it like your team gets overburdened? So you have a chance to experiment each and everything over here. So you experiment how you will generate the matrix, you experiment the lead time distribution chart, you will learn how to create a cumulative flow diagram. And while we are drawing these charts, this game will throw the events like what if a blocker comes in? What if the organizational policies changes? What if you get an expedite request in your system? How will your system behave like this? So we allow you to mark your charts when these systems even happen so that you can see what changes it brought to your flow. And then it gives you enough chances to control and optimize your flow of work. So it's kind of a Kanban simulation game that you play to start your Kanban workshop journey. So we introduce these policies, the practices of Kanban very briefly and let you experiment them. So that is the first exercise that we do on the first day, and you get enough knowledge by experimenting Kanban. So you learn by doing. On the second day, we create our first Kanban board the right way. So it's not like you go to Jira, create board, create Kanban board is created. No. So as I discussed, we apply the systems thinking approach, static approach to design your Kanban. And if you have not attended the KMP workshop, you will not know about it. Static is a system thinking approach, means how your system behaves in relation to the other systems. You can only get it, you can only understand it once you attend this KMP workshop. It's a 6-step process. First, you understand what are the sources of dissatisfaction, what do you want to change. We discuss how do you analyze your demand, your capabilities. We define the classes of services, and we create a Kanban board. And while we are doing it, I'll also show you some of the examples of the physical boards. I'll show you the examples of the visual boards, how you can customize your Jira, your Azure DevOps. What are the other basic tools that you have? I also introduced you a simulation dashboard where you can experiment, like if you increase the WIP limit or decrease the WIP limit, how the other lead time and the other cycle time matrix vary. And then you design this Kanban board. Now it's the first time you're designing it, you will get enough time in your groups to design this board. We throw a challenge, we put up what are the elements that you have to display in this Kanban board. Like as you see in the example, this is one of the Kanban boards created by one of the teams, and they have displayed multiple things over here that you will know once you attend this KMP workshop. After you have attended this workshop, you will be able to design a better Kanban board, and then you take it to the tool, and I'll guide you how to customize your tools in creating the Kanban board that you created during this exercise. So that is the second day. Third day of the Kanban workshop, when we start our Kanban systems improvement class, we have multiple exercises, like we handle the strategies to handle the resistance of Kanban adoption. So like any other system, when you introduce new practices, there will be some resistance because humans think from the system one perspective. And that is what we discuss in the Kanban workshop. We do a short exercise around what are the kind of resistances that you might get. Is it emotional resistance? Is it a logical resistance? If it is emotional, how will you handle that? If you're logical, then how will you handle that? What are the Kanban practices that you can apply? What is that mitigation plan that you can create? So we do all of this through an exercise. We also discuss one of the case studies where we observe one of the Kanban boards and infer what are the improvement areas. We apply the Kanban maturity level practices that or the Kanban KMM model that we learned in this class to this case study, which is called the post science case study, which I'll talk about it in a while. So we apply the KMM model. So it's like you understood the maturity levels. So it's not just you understood it. You have to apply and try to find out and verify your learning. So we discuss the KMM model again with that case study. We apply our knowledge and we discuss why, what is the maturity level of the team, which we discussed in the case study. We understand the concept of services. Now that is the fourth exercise. So we understand what is the concept of the services, what is network of services, what are shared services. Now this understanding is required to understand how you scale Kanban. You can't scale Kanban until you understand the concept of identifying a service within your organization. Now what is service? It is any work that you do for your customers. You have to apply a service orientation approach. Like Kanban is a flow-based system. You have to look at from the point of view what service you're providing to your customers when the customer is getting that end product, when the customer gets a value from the work that you do. Not your development team, not your testing team, not your design team, not your product owner, but what is the value that you get? What is the value that your customer gets? And what is that service that you're providing? How that service relates to the other services in the workflow? How do you manage those? And we apply KMM model to that identified service so that we can grow or the maturity of your team from ML1 to ML2 level. So these are the exercises that we do on the third day. Then on the fourth day, which is the last day, we discuss around the strategies to optimize the capability. So we understand, by way of exercise, we understand what are the sources of delay in your existing systems. So you can actually find out, you can actually take the case studies that you are working right now or the projects that you are working right now, you can bring them on and we can discuss what are the sources of delay that you have in your current projects and how you can apply the Kanban practices to improve them. And you can take that exercise as it is to your work and start implementing it. So the next day you can start implementing Kanban. So you have such kind of exercises that you can practice your actual problems in this workshop, and the next day you can start applying them. It is very simple. We also do an exercise to visualize the dependencies, and we do this using a case study, which is the airline industry case study. We discuss what are the internal dependencies, what are the external dependencies, what are the third-party dependencies. And then we do an exercise where you change the roles. Now you are a team, you are creating a dependency on the other team. Then you become that dependent team. And then try to see how the demand looks like. So it's a complete perspective that you get. And once you know the complete perspective, you will be able to understand or the entire system better, and you will be able to set the right expectations with your customers. And then we do an exercise, which is the last exercise, which is removing the bottlenecks using the theory of constraint, as I discussed, given by Eliam Goldratt. So we just don't explain you the concept. We explain you the concept and practice it. Once you practice it, your concepts will get solidified. And you do it as a group exercise so that it's not only your thinking, you are looking at the entire group. The entire group is working on it, and you get to know from each other's learnings and experiences. As I said, it's a very collaborative workshop, and you're always on your foot. You're not just relaxed and watching the PPT. You have to do a lot of exercises so you that understand what is the concept that has been talked about. So while we are doing those exercises, we also discuss multiple case studies in this. So case study is not kind of a study later. So I'll send you the list of the case studies, and you can do this course, and after that you can discuss study those case studies. No, it's not like that. We give you a pre-read. You have to read through those case studies, and those case studies we discuss in the workshop. And that is not the only case study that we discuss. We ask you to bring your case study and apply the concept that we applied in this case study to your case study. There are multiple case studies. So learn by doing, learn by looking at the examples, how it was done, and apply it then and there. Don't wait. Verify your learning then and there itself. So the first case study that we discussed is the Microsoft XIT case study. This is the first time implementation of the Kanban method that was done at Microsoft XIT team. So we use this case study to practice a static approach and how Kanban is an evolutionary change method. So we discuss the static steps, we apply each step to this case study, and in parallel you apply the same to your case study. So both the case studies go in parallel. So I'll tell you how it was applied in the XIT case study, then you do the same thing for your case study and apply it there. Then we discuss a post-it science case study. It's a Kanban case study. Now what is Kanban? Scrum and Kanban. That's what people think. But there is no Kanban. There is Scrum and there is Kanban. So we discuss, in this case study, we discuss how the team matured from ML1 to ML2. What are the challenges that they got when their systems became complex? When they were a product development company, a startup, they created their own product, they used Scrum better. But when they had started getting pressure of revenue and they started getting multiple work like develop the product, solve defects, conduct POCs, and then CEO comes with some priority work, how do you handle that? So we discuss all of this in this particular case study and how you can mature your teams from ML1 to ML2. We discuss the Wimbledon case study. With this case study, we understand what are the variations in the system. What are the common cause variations? What are the special cause variations? So we apply the concept of the common cause and special cause using this Wimbledon case study. Wimbledon, you're right, it's a tennis game, and that is a case study around the tennis game itself. Then I show you a video on the Sonalika International Tractors case study, how they applied the Kanban practices. And it's a manufacturing industry case study. How they applied the same Kanban practices in their manufacturing of the tractors and increase the productivity. So Sonalika Tractors is a tractor chain that exports tractors across the world. Then I will show you a video around Hospital Materials Management System case study. How they applied the Kanban practice in handling the hospital materials management system. What is the buffer? How the inventory is handled using all those Kanban practices. So in this workshop, you will see the case studies not only related to the IT industry, but also related to the other sectors. How Kanban can be applied across multiple sectors, multiple projects, multiple teams. You just need to know what are the practices of Kanban and it can work everywhere. Now, case studies are not the only thing that will help you reflect or apply your concepts or the theory that you learned in Kanban. We bring in gamification as well and the reflections. So we have a list of the quizzes that we run through across these 4 days. Like we have a quiz on the myths and facts. We have a Kanban foundation quiz. We do a day one recap. There is a quiz named Let's Revise, and then Kanban true and false. So all these quizzes have around 15 to 20 questions on which you will be scored. Of course, your certificates will not depend on this scoring, but your self-assessment will depend upon this scoring. Again, self-assessment. So you yourself can self-assess where you belong. What are the improvement areas? What are the gaps in the knowledge that you still have? And you are all free to ask those questions right and there in the workshop. We discuss those questions as in when they come up. Other participants also collaborate. They share their own experiences in this workshop. Where Kanban practices worked, where the other framework practices did not work. How can you make them work? So we all do that reflection, and quizzes help you do that reflection as well. So if you get an answer wrong and if you're not satisfied with it, discuss it. You have enough time to make your concepts clear. We do a reflection. So as I said, whenever we do an exercise, it is not just you did the exercise, okay, keep it with you. No. We initiate a group discussion. So when you do an exercise in your group, you come back to the main room. You come back to the main group where we discuss your thinking, your thought process with the entire class. It's a continuous reflection process. It will create some self-awareness in you, and all the participants share their best practices with each other. So you will learn the best practices across the industry. So that is all that we cover in this KMP workshop. If you have any questions around this, let me know, or you can send me email, you can send me a WhatsApp, you can reach out to us anywhere and you can look at these questions. I can also send you I have the LinkedIn post. We have put in a PDF file for this content of this case study or content of this course. That also you can look at. Now we are conducting this in-person workshop in Dubai on 20th and 21st of November and 27th and 28th of November. So there is a Kanban system design workshop on 20th and 21st of November and Kanban system improvement workshop on 27th and 28th of November. These are in-person workshop schedule. They are set up at the Lolo House, Alcos 1 in Dubai. If you want, you can attend that. You can send us a ping. Coffee and lunch on the house. Then we have a virtual workshop also. We run virtual workshops, online workshops that also you can attend. So these are some of the dates that we have. So we are running one workshop on 19th and 20th of October, which is KMP 1 workshop. Then we have KMP 2 happening, or the KSI or Kanban Systems Improvement happening on October 26th and 27th. We again have a Kanban System Design workshop on November 2 and 3. So every weekend we'll have a virtual or the online Kanban workshop. You just reach out to any of these. You can call, WhatsApp me at this number, which is +971 54783 6151. You can call Rajiv. He's our training partner, and you can call him or WhatsApp him at +91 91648 32661. You can email on any of these email IDs like vikas@easylearningtree.com, Rajiv at easylearningtree.com, or kanbandubai@gmail.com. Or you can visit any of these websites, which is kanbandubai.com, it's kanban.com, or